Sorry, I'm back on the internet. I have to just change it. So I think it's better now with Spectranet. Even though I don't, all of them have one issue or the other. I'm so sorry about this. So I will just start from here. I think this should be more stable. So quick poll, have you ever executed a virtual event before? And if so, how was your experience? Let's also use the chat for this. I want it to be interactive because I want to know where you are, with virtual events and so on. So if you've executed one before, share in summary, if you have, how many times you've done it, how was your experience? And if you've not, also share with us. So you could take a look at the chat. Let me try to turn off my own video so that it doesn't impede on the experience. Okay. Okay, Omolara says she hasn't done any before. That's interesting. But guess what? Do you know, even with weddings these days, people are also doing, traditional weddings online. I know you're into the event management industry. So people do their weddings online, birthdays online, and it's a good time to introduce that element. You manage everything about it, but this time it's being executed, using the internet, and they are able to connect with their friends and, still have a bit of a ceremony because of the COVID situation and all of that. So who else is in here? Have you done before? Damilola, are you still in here? I see you in here. Have you done any before? Before we move on, I just want to get a feel of, what we've done. Okay. Okay, so I would continue. Possibly this may be an audio issue, but since Omolara is able to hear, that should indicate others will as well. Okay, so you're in the right place, for today's event. If you've been thinking of communicating what you do, to a wider audience, to a larger community of people. You've been online for a while, but you can't seem to get clients from the internet, from your interactions. And again, you're in the right place if you have a decent following on social media, LinkedIn, the Facebooks, Instagram, and they are liking your posts, but no one is buying from you. So you're in the right place for this webinar if you fit into any of those, mentioned circumstances. So let's look at what virtual events are. Of course, virtual events are done using the internet. That means you could even be using a tool like Zoom, like we are using right now. What that means is that anybody from any part of the world can access it. So they can access from anywhere. You can get instant feedback, from your interactions with them. You can target your business goals, COVID-19 proof your business goals. It's someone said the other day that it's almost Christmas, and I was like counting. It's 97 days to the end of the year. Many businesses have also adopted the work from home policy, due to lockdown, being imposed by COVID-19, people from all over the world, not just Nigeria, because you want to avoid community spread of the disease. So what happens these days is that people are working online, conducting their events online, interacting and engaging from anywhere. So the global virtual event market size was estimated at $77.98 billion in 2019. But as of 2020 is estimated to, move up to $94.04 billion, US dollars in 2020. What that means is that it's a growth area. There's a lot of growth with virtual events. If you even, promote your services, that you also conduct virtual event planning, for instance, for your business, for customers that would come into your business, what do you think would happen? A lot of people will be attracted to what exactly you're doing. So let me share a bit of background story. We started conducting webinars, virtual events, for our services because, we're into training and consulting as far back as 2011 to 2012. And I can say it was and it's still a game changer for any service-based business. So of course, there is a learning curve to it, but with guidance, you can know the steps you would take to successfully conduct your own online, whatever name you will call it, virtual events, your meetups, and so on. So let's head into some vital parts of today's, event. So what do virtual events have as their objectives? People can use it to onboard. Maybe you have, an offering you're giving to a client, someone that has paid for something. You could use it to onboard them on how to use that particular thing. So because it's video-based, you can show and tell. You can show and tell, and it will still look like the physical experience, when they're there in person with you. You could use your virtual events for educating your customers, educating your clients, maybe about your brand, about a service that you have, and so on. You'll be so surprised from that education. They would understand what you're doing a whole lot more better. Then it also helps with lead generation. Lead generation is a marketing term where people become aware of what you want to do. Like, people that are strangers to the business, let me use that description, so they become warmed up by understanding what you do and, wanting to, take up your services and so on. Again, you can use virtual events to generate demand for your products and services. You can use it to make sales of your products and services. You just need to think outside the box in this regards. Types of events for service providers. So I've just collated a simple list, things you could try. You could take a screenshot of this, you could, note it down in your book and all of that. And please remember, we allow questions. So towards the end, there will be a time for Q&A. So first type of event you could conduct as a service provider is an Ask Me Anything kind of event. It's called an AMA. So what would you do? You could, on your social media, to make your audience talk back to you, ask them, what questions do you have relating to XYZ? Of course, everybody's organization and clients are different. So by the time you're asking them, and they're leaving comments or, like we say, sliding into your DM, with their questions. You could collate all of these questions and create an event where you're answering their questions, and of course, some of them, you also invite them to come in live with you into that event so that once they ask their questions, they're also getting answers. This is not like a teaching kind of thing, but it really will address the issues your customers may be having. It could also address the things that are making them, not pursue a course of action with the business and so on. You could also create fireside chats, talk shows, around your business. You could even bring your former customers. Maybe for Omolara, for instance, you organized a beautiful wedding. You could bring in the bride and groom, create a talk show where you ask them certain questions on how their event went, and the audience, listens in. And you never know, someone may really listen in on this and they are your next wedding clients. I hope you get my analogy. I'm just using that as an analogy. Then you could use your events, you could have virtual, just like people have physical conferences and summits, you could also have virtual conferences and summits. Now, this could be as large as you want it, for as many days. Of course, some people do 5 days, 3 days, 2 days. Some even do a 1-day summit, 1-day virtual conference. It all depends on you. In your industry, you could suggest this to them. You get some of the people that, know exactly what they're doing. They can communicate with people, that come into the event, communicate maybe best practices, whatever topic you choose, so those are some of the events you could actually have, as a service provider. Welcome. I think we have someone new. Toby, thank you for joining in. Then you could also have your webinars and tutorials. You could conduct them on simple tools like Zoom. In fact, Zoom, during this COVID era and all of that, they've skyrocketed. I think they were listed as on Forbes as the top performing organization. Do you know why? Because everybody migrated to conducting their events online. And another one could be online training. For instance, if you're like a consulting and training organization, or even if you have your business, maybe you're into event planning, for instance, you could conduct event training, for your clients using the internet. All of them, make up the online events that we are talking about. So like I said, please note your questions. We'll get to them shortly. Then the big question, so how do I conduct these events? You could use, virtual event tools, and I've also collated a long list of them. Some of them you may be familiar with, some you may not be familiar with, but guess what? Your take-home assignment from today's event is go and research this event. Try them out, try them with, I remember when I started virtual events, in our organization, it could be my colleague at the other end of the room, being on that call, because I wanted to dry run how everything works. So you could do your dry runs, take a snapshot of these tools, do your dry runs with these tools, see how it goes before you invite people, into your space. So some of the tools, a very recent one is Google Meet. It's free to use. If you're on Facebook, there is also Facebook Rooms. I don't know if you've refreshed or updated your Facebook app. When you do, Facebook Rooms is now, they've opened it up to everyone in the globe. So that means you could also invite people just like Google Meet and Zoom would look. You know, you could invite people into your Facebook rooms. So that means week after week, you could schedule meetings with people in these rooms, give them specific times, you know, and, you know, start your conversation. Remember, business is all about conversation. So let's not say, there is lockdown, or sorry, there's restricted movements. People are not interacting as they should. Of course, that is happening, but that would not stop your business, because you could use, you know, the tools. You know, the tools are out there. There are so many tools out there. I hope we can all hear and see me. So like I said, Google Meet, Facebook Rooms, Microsoft Teams, Zoom. Zoom is what we are using right now. Go to Webinar, Webinar Ninja, Demio. Some of them allow 30 days, 14 days access, you know, and then eventually you could now pay for the service. Then there is Any Meeting. These are some that I have used over the years. Like I told you, I started, okay, Toby says she can hear me. He or she can hear me. That's good. So like I said, I started using some of these, you know, as far back as 2011, 2012. So they are excellent tools. In fact, these tools are good. They are stable. They are standard. You know, sometimes because we are in Nigeria, for instance, some of them may not really work so well. So that's why you should take, you know, take a snapshot of these, share it, and tag me if you're on Instagram. You know, take a snapshot of these. I want us to interact, because I may not know some of the people on the call. You could interact with me, Coach Ojugo, on Instagram, so that I know that you were part of the meeting. That would be really fine. You know, I've dropped that on the chat. There is Any Meeting, and guess what? There is WhatsApp. I'm sure we are all on WhatsApp. Please, WhatsApp is not just to converse with friends and, you know, family or even business people. You could use it for your virtual events. In fact, every single day in Nigeria, someone out there is organizing a virtual event on WhatsApp, on Telegram. In fact, there was one I attended recently by a group called Head Start Africa. I don't know whether you know John Obidi, you know, so they had this virtual summit that had so many, like more than, I think in that Telegram group, they may have more than 26,000 people on it, because again, Telegram allows a larger audience. You know, you could invite a larger audience to whatever event or whatever thing you're doing on your Telegram group, you know, and then once you pin your posts on that Telegram group, at any point people join, they see the pinned post. So I think it has more power. Sorry, someone is talking into this. Please pause, mute your microphone, you know, so that it doesn't enter in. So on Telegram, you could do a whole lot, you know, with virtual events. And again, on YouTube, you know, just like videos or films premiere what they are doing, you know, you could record something or even go live inside of YouTube, you know, and of course, by the time it's targeted, you invited people. YouTube also would invite people that look like your audience into that virtual event. So you can see there are so many options, free, paid, you know, depending on what you want to achieve. I hope I'm not too fast or too slow. So a bit of issues with virtual events. Of course, it may not all be smooth sailing. Like we saw, you know, we were supposed to have gone far, but because of the internet, it was a bit jumpy. We had to be slowed down, and I had to change my internet device, you know, completely. But then the advantages outweigh these little issues, you know, so I'm not sharing the issues to scare you off. There are things you should, there are things you would do to counteract the issues. So you could have technology issues with data, but what I would suggest in there is, you know, have a backup plan. don't use one network, you know, because this is Nigeria. It may just be raining somewhere, you know, and it could impact what you're doing, you know, and so on. So again, understand the platform you're using, you know, make sure that you get used to it. Dry run what you want to do. Dry running means have a mock event, you know, before the main event. Like a friend of mine, she's getting married. Yes, she is. You know, tomorrow, her traditional wedding. And guess what? It's going to be done on Zoom, you know, and what does that mean? They would have dry run the event, you know, of course, just practice, be sure their technical tools are working as it should, that their internet, they have enough data, you know, and things like that. Then again, with virtual events, there could be no shows. Sometimes you may expect a crowd, you know, to come into your event, but then they don't show up. But there are things you would do pre-event, you know, even post-event for the people that do not show up, you know, that when we approach, because we actually have like a full workshop, let's not call it a course, a full workshop where we walk you through step by step. How can you organize your virtual event? So we'll lead you by the hand, you know, so that it's no longer a mystery. You start doing it for your business. You start reaching a larger audience, you know, from wherever you are in the world. Again, sometimes you could have issues of no conversions. So we'll talk about a bit of this as we proceed. I don't want it to be so lengthy, but just hang on. We are making good progress. So how do you create engaging and profitable virtual events? First of all, I will tell you, ensure you understand your client avatar. Who are you creating this event for? Who are you creating this event for? In fact, this is like the foundational place for anything you're doing in business. Who are you doing your business for? Who are you creating the virtual event for? So you need to understand their demography. Where do they live? For instance, if someone lives where there is even no network, then that virtual event is not designed for that particular avatar. Maybe you could use something like WhatsApp. I think most people, even in rural areas, access WhatsApp. So basic things like that, you need to understand, you know, who that person that needs to be on your event is. And like I told you, you use events for various things, onboarding, you know, your clients, people that have come into your business. You could use it for lead generation, demand generation. Those are some of the things we talked about earlier. You could use it to make sales, you know, for your business. Blossom, I see you've raised your hand. Please, could you type in the chat? I will take a look at it shortly. So understand your avatar, know who you are talking to. And inside of online workshop, you know, for virtual events, we'll be digging into that avatar. In fact, you have an avatar exercise so that you're sure that in your communication, you're talking to that particular person. Then next will be your content formats. So there are so many different content formats that we'll talk about. Content is what you're sharing online, you know, so it could be videos about this, your event. It could be text, it could be photos, you know, like Instagram these days has IGTV. You could go live, you know, you could use the Instagram reel. You know, I'm just using Instagram as an example. Then you could, there are several ways to also promote and market that virtual event, especially if it's going to draw a large audience, you know. So we talk about all of that in depth in the workshop. Tools for building engagement. So how would you, you know, create engagement before, during, and after the event? So for instance, for this particular event, after this event, we are repurposing this particular video and we would share it out on our different social media platforms, YouTube in particular, you know, so that people that didn't catch it can watch it on YouTube. So that's why it's important to have events, because of course you don't know when exactly someone may see it. Let me pause a bit to see. Okay, Blossom says, explain onboarding. So onboarding means maybe someone paid for a service, that you provide. Remember, I'm talking to service providers today. Someone paid for a service. For instance, let me use what we do in here. Maybe someone paid for business process improvement and says, please come in and improve our business processes. So onboarding would mean me walking her through step by step what we'll be doing with her for the duration of his or her project. What will we be doing with you, so that the person is clear from start to end, what exactly will we be doing in the middle. So onboarding helps your clients to be clear about your services, so that there will be no surprises between the two parties. That's just what that means. So I said you could use virtual events. You could create an onboarding event, even on Zoom, on WhatsApp, where you're communicating what exactly you're doing on a video call. Most times face-to-face on video calls actually really help. And then next will be creating your irresistible offers. So I will dwell a little bit on your offer, when you have a virtual event. So we'll talk about your high-level offer, middle-level offer, and your low-level offers. So these two, understanding your avatar and creating your irresistible offer, is what we are dwelling on today. In the expanded class, we'll go through all 5, like really in depth, with assignments, things you're supposed to do to be able to create your successful virtual event. So there are 3 types of offers you should have ready for your events. You could have 1 or 2 of this. You could even have 1 of this or 3 of this. There is no rule, no hard and fast rule on this one. So like I said, high level, middle level, low level. So for the high level offers, they are great for entrepreneurs who do not have a product or program to offer people. So when you need fast cash in your business as soon as possible, you want to do a high level offer. When you want to do concentrated, focused work, with someone for a period of time, it's time to do a high level offer. So examples of high level offers, one is a 6-hour VIP day. VIP is very important person, so you could name that service a 6-hour VIP day with you one-on-one, so you could make that offer at the end of your event, your virtual event. Remember, your virtual event is providing value on some topic, on some subject, to your clients. If it's a sales or lead generation kind of event. And then you could also have high-level offers that are, please work with me for 3 months, one-on-one, every week or every second week for 3 months. So that's an example of another high-level offer. Another could be a done-for-you service where you do it all for the clients. So that is another high-level offer you could provide people on a call like this. Then you have the middle-level offers. Middle-level offers are great for when you're tired of doing one-on-one, with people, or done-for-you services. You have limited time, but you need that extra cash in your business. Example of middle-level offers, 5 to 6 week group program, so that it's not like you're talking to one person at a time. They're coming into a group and you're working with them. And then you have the limited mentoring time with you one-on-one offer. So that could be 1 hour every week for 6 weeks. I could work with you one-on-one. So this is another kind of offer you could, provide to people that come into your events. Then the last one for the day is your low-level offer. Low-level offers, they are great for when you need to put something together fast to offer your audience. You want to ask for the sale directly on that virtual event. So it's a quick injection of cash. You could do things like a flash sale or a limited time offer. So that means, you put a timeline to it. So these are examples of low-level offers. It could be a video or audio recording of a training. It could be a checklist, a blueprint, or a guide. So you could be doing a sale of any of this at the end of your, event. And guess what? For the low-level offer, there is no much energy coming out of you working one-on-one or working one-to-many, with them in a group. So there we go with today's presentation. Like I told you, I don't want it to be extremely lengthy because it's just a webinar, a simple short webinar. If you have any questions, this is a good time and place, to ask your question. Blossom says, okay, helps. Okay, the onboarding. Yes, that's what it means. So question time. Omolara, any question? Toby, Damilola, Blossom, any question? Please feel free to drop it. Drop your questions. Let's treat them quickly in the next minute or two. Okay, that's fine. Let me put back on my camera. So it's question time. Did you get any value from today's webinar? Please feel free to drop. We'll be glad to hear from you. Okay, please feel free to drop your questions. If you want to turn on your microphone, please feel free to do the same and ask your question. Question time. Okay, so, well, as the questions come in, because I don't want it to be lengthy, I will treat them. So let me make a quick offer to our audience for today. So our offer is that we have a 5-part video online class, with a virtual event worksheet. How would you manage your virtual event so that you could start executing on this idea sooner than later? I know when we took the poll, some people said no, they've never done virtual events before. So this is a good time to get a grip on how to plan and execute your profitable, engaging virtual events. You could pre-order the webinar session at $7,900 up until October 7th, 2020. The normal cost price will be $9,900 from October 8th. So this is like an early bird offer. And like I said, the course will be live from October 15th. So it's a good time to, get into the mix of conducting events. You could even have, 4 events for the rest of the year. You could plan it in. Now we are entering into the last quarter, October, November, December. It's a good time to think of, out of the box ideas of the kind of events you could do, for your business, so that more people get to know what you're all about, and you use it apart from sales calls. You could use it to onboard clients, to do so many things that would help your brand's visibility. So these are like things we would study in depth, in there for the program. And that's the early bird link. You could take a snapshot of that or take down, what we'll be covering, and we'll take it from there. So let me see someone's question. For a service provider, which level of event will be best suited to use? Okay, I gave different examples. I said you could use, let me try to type my answer in. You could use your events for one. You could use it for sales calls. You could use it for lead generation. And I explained what lead generation was, where a lot of people are learning about that particular product and service that you have. But of course, on that call, you're also sharing value. You know, you could use it for demand generation, where people will start demanding, because they now know a whole lot more about your services. They will start demanding, you know, to work with you on your terms. And then you could use it for onboarding. I think these are like 4 main areas you could use your virtual events for. And I said you have various types of virtual events. You could have virtual summits, conferences, you know, and so on. You could have ask me anything, you know. That's also a virtual event. But guess what? You're using it to nurture your audience. They start understanding what you stand for, what you're all about, you know, and because you've given them a taste of yourself, you find out, you know, that they will start engaging much more better with your brand. In fact, churches are known to do these events all the time. You know, even beyond COVID, you see them organizing events. So events are a strategic tool for any business. Events, having projects, they are strategic tools for any business. Thank you, Toby. She says, thanks for this wonderful presentation. Short, punchy, and loaded. Thank you. So what do you think about giving free content to participants to get them coming for the event? Very, very important, you know, and that's part of what we'll talk about. So before your event, you could even give them like a checklist that they could come into your virtual event with. You know, most times when people download and print this, they are like, this person is really well prepared for me, even if it was a training. You know, we said you could also use your events for training, you know, so it can be used for training, you know, and so on. So you could provide some materials ahead of time, you know, before your event to your participants, you know, so that when they come in, they truly engage with you and move on to the next thing. And she also says, is it good to tell them you will give them material at the end? If yes, how will it not take away? No, sometimes people, 2 things people do. Sometimes people give these materials before the event, and sometimes inside of the event, you give them the material. So sometimes the ones before the event usually would act like a worksheet, you know, so that what they are listening to in the event, they can note it down and, you know, keep it on their files, you know, and so on. No, it wouldn't take away from the major focus. It would just be like, you know, something they would journal on, or something they could action on. Like I told you to action on the virtual event tools. Go and research them. You know, I listed Zoom, Google Meet, Facebook Rooms, you know, and so on. So you could go research them, you know, and that's part of, you know, an action you could take. And then her third question, how do you keep engaging your network of participants after the event? Beautiful, intelligent question, Toby. So what I could suggest, you know, is that you use paid tools, you know, so even free trials would allow you, free trial software, like some of the ones I listed, Webinar Jam, any meeting, you know, and so on. They could allow you to have a database, you know, because people are going to sign up. They'll put in their name, email address, phone numbers in some instances. So they will allow you get that database out, you know, once your event is done. And what can you do with it? You can put it into your, in fact, this question packs a punch. You can put it into your emailing system, or if you have their phone numbers, you could put them into a WhatsApp group, you know, or a WhatsApp broadcast list, as the case may be. So what you will do with them is that from that event going forward, you could start nurturing them. you could start nurturing them. Really interesting question, because remember, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So these events, you're using them to create that know, like, and trust factor. And you, guess what? You'll be so surprised at the results you will see if you practice this for the next 90 days, or like we said, 97 days to the end of the year. Blossom says, how do we prepare virtual events for clients? Like corporate organization wants to host an event, they call you as an event planner. In fact, guess what? I've done many of these gigs. It sounds like, something out of a science fiction film in Nigeria, but it's true. People are paying, I'm not kidding with you, people are paying handsomely. They're paying in a hurry for you to organize their virtual event, because some organizations do not have that expertise. So if you have that expertise, you'll be so surprised if you put it out there, people will start contacting you, to do it for them. So before you do it for them, there are steps. It's like a project. You need to collect their requirements, understand the platform they would want you to use, or the one you would suggest. That's why I even gave you the list of some of those platforms. Go and research them, suggest it to them, the ones that best fit the purpose that they are going to be, using it for, and so on. So you plan it like a project. It's so extensive. Your question has a six-pack. It has a lot of muscle, Blossom. So how do I create visibility for this? Yes, how you would create visibility is that you must, for people to be attracted to that organization's event, you must create what we call a sales funnel. And for want of the scope of what we are doing, in the full course, number 3 is marketing your virtual event. So there are several steps. You could attract up to 500 people, 1,000 people, even if you're just starting to this event. So there are several steps. You could attract them organically through your social media content. You could attract them by setting up paid advertisements for this event. So those are the 2 ways, high level, I can suggest, for the time that we have. So I hope that helped. I hope that helped. I see someone coming in just now when we are almost done. Oh dear. So you're welcome. I do not know your name, but at the end of this, you could just contact me. I would share the replay video, because, we are just done. We are just done. We are about to wrap up. Thank you, Blossom. Thank you, Blossom. Thank you for participating and always engaging with us. We celebrate you. We appreciate you. I see someone coming in from Department of History and Strategic Studies. Thank you for coming in. We'll share the replay of this particular session. It wasn't supposed to be lengthy, but at the end of the day, I'm sure the people in here got value. So like I said, the offer at the end of my program today is how you can create your own engaging and profitable virtual events. So that's our course content. You will understand your client's avatar. We'll talk about content formats that work, for promoting your virtual events, tools for building engagement before the event, during the event, after the event, and then how you can create your own irresistible offers. So your high level, your middle level offers, and your low level offers. Thank you so much for participating today. Would really love your feedback, because we always take feedback so that we can improve on what we are doing. Please share your feedback to this bit.ly link, bit.ly, right track feedback. You could take a snapshot of this. Please share your feedback. Would want to learn and hear from you. If you have suggestions of what you would love to see inside of this course, remember, it's still under development. Would love to add that particular one. I've taken note of your questions, and we're going to be putting that in as well. So there we go for today. I will drop our phone number, just in case you're meeting us for the first time. I'll drop our phone number on the chat so that you could communicate with us at your leisure. Communicate with us at your leisure, and we would be glad to hear from you. So you could either use WhatsApp, to contact us on this line. This is our business line. And my name, like I told you, is Ojugo Ajonwa. So thank you for being part of this. I have just dropped our WhatsApp number on the comments. Thank you for participating. We appreciate you. And until next time, please do not forget to leave a feedback. And if you want to be part of the course, take up the opportunity of, using the early bird offer. We'll be seeing you on the 15th of October when this course would go live. Thank you and God bless you.